First time experiencing DMT. It was dark. My first time ever experiencing DMT, I went to my so-called friend's house. Me and my other friend, I'm gonna call him Jack. Me and Jack went to Jill's house, and I thought it was some weed that they were smoking on. So I told him, "Let me hit it," because they said it was some good ass weed. At least I thought they said it was some good ass weed. Anywho, I said, "Let me hit that shit," and then Jill's girlfriend said something like, "It's gonna take you to another world." Like, man, you tripping, girl. Y'all just high. Just give me that shit so I can hit it. So she's like, I'm gonna put a little extra in there for you. So I'm like, cool. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm finna smoke the shit out this shit. I'm gonna hit this shit hard. I'm finna get high off this bowl of weed, right? Because they put it in the weed. Like I said, I didn't know. For the record, I do not recommend anyone trying DMT. Never. Don't. It's horrible. It's a bad experience. Everyone's experience ain't gonna be good. And my experience was not good. Anywho, let me continue the story. So I'm like, let me hit that shit. Pass that. So she said, I'm gonna put a little bit more on there for you. She goes, I'm not sure if I like you or not yet. I'm like, what the hell? She tripping. Girl, give me that weed so I can hit it. Mind you, this is a little white chick with pigtails in her hair, some glasses on. You know, whatever. So, anyways. Oh, yeah, let me write it straight a little bit too. Mind you, when we walked into the room, she was underneath the covers. And I'm assuming she was naked. So I kind of tripped on that. But, anyways, fast forward the story. Let me hit that shit, girl. That's what she gives me to me, right? And I must have hit it hard as I could. Held the smoke in long as I could because I was figuring, I'm trying to get the max high. You know what I mean? So I held it long as I could, long as I could. And I hit that shit so hard you don't even know. I didn't need no 1, 2, 3 hits. I felt that shit. Anyways, I hit that shit so hard. I held it so long after I couldn't hold. I held it so long to where my body couldn't hold no more air. I had to blow it out. And so I was releasing the air, blowing it out. I got to the end of the breath, and everything just switched like a light switch. Click. The whole freaking room started like warping and like moving and doing some weird stuff. I looked up at the ceiling. The ceiling looked like a. I watched a video a couple days ago. This guy described it as a kaleidoscope. Is what he's seen. That is so true because that's what I seen. It was like a kaleidoscope on the ceiling, and the ceiling was spinning in all these different colors. And I heard this music, and it was just a trip. Right? It was so trippy. And I said, and I was holding my dog on my lap, and my friend Jack was sitting next to me, and Jill was sitting on the bed with her girlfriend. And then what happened? Oh, yeah. And then I said, "How long does this shit last?" Because I was feeling hella weird, and like everything was tripping, and I felt like my words were bouncing like the cartoons, like like how the words bounce in the cartoons. Yeah. So I feel like my words were bouncing like the cartoons, and I was just like, "What the hell?" I said, "How long does this shit last again?" And they're laughing at me, and I look over to my right, and I see Jill's girlfriend on the bed, and she like a freaking demon. She was pointing at me, and she was laughing at me. I was like, "What the hell?" And I looked over at my friend Jill, and he was like laughing at me too, and he looked like a demon a little bit. He didn't look as bad much of a demon as she did, but he looked like a demon too. Like he's been tampering with this shit for a little while. Like, you know what I mean? He's on his way into the dark side, you ask me. I'm not sure. But anyways, I was like, what the hell? And he was laughing at me too and pointing at me. And no, I take that back. He wasn't pointing at me. She was pointing at me and laughing. He was just laughing. And then I seen his skull like flicker. His skull was like flickering. And then I looked over at my boy Jack next to me, and I was like, and his skull flickered like just once. So I felt like he was a good guy. I looked down at my dog. My dog's flickered like once or twice. You know what I mean? And then I was just like, how long does this shit last? Because I was tripping out, and I was like, man. And I looked to my right again, over at her, and she was still laughing at me, and she still looked like a demon. And I was tripping out again. I'm like, what the, this is crazy. What the? And I looked over at him, and he was laughing still, and he looked like a demon. He was flickering. And I looked around, I looked over, you know what I mean? I looked up the ceiling again, and I was like, and it was still like warping, like the ceiling was just still changing colors. And I said, we got to get out of here. And I hopped up. And when I hopped up, I said, we got to go. And my friend Jack was like, okay. So he stood up, and then I'm like, we got to go. I'm like, but you're a demon. And she said, I'm not a demon. I'm an angel. And she was laughing at me, still pointing. I said, oh, hell no. I got to get up out of here. So we took off out the room, and then I was trying to make it down the hallway, and the hallway seemed so long. And then to get outside, it seemed like it was so long. And then when we got into the car was like doing this weird warping thing. The car was like moving like all type of weird ways. The dashboard was like swirling and stuff. And then I realized that I left my phone in the house, and I was like, oh shit. And I looked at my friend Jack. I said, Jack, I left my phone in the house. You got to go get it because I'm not going back in there. And then he was like, huh, okay. So then he goes in the house to get the phone, and then he comes back, and it seemed like it took him forever. And then the car is still doing this weird ass movement. And then so we take off from the house, and it seemed like she took us back to her house. We were trying to find a freeway, and then for some reason we ended up back at the house. And I was like, what the hell? I'm like, nigga, I told him, go to the freeway. And then he's like, I'm trying. And so he tries to go back to the freeway again, and for some odd reason we end up back in front of their house again. So I was like, this bee is a devil. Get us out of here. I tried to call my mom. I was flipping out. I was screaming. I was yelling at my mom's answer machine. She didn't know what was going on. I was trying to talk to my mom because I didn't know what to do. I was panicking. I was going crazy. It was all bad. And then we were trying to find a freeway. The roads on the lines on the road just disappeared as we were driving. And I'm like, and it felt like we're gonna drive off into nowhere. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? This is crazy. So it lasted hard for like 15, 20 minutes for sure. And then once I got back to my hometown, which is like about 30 minutes away from where we went to, I still felt the effect of it. Like, you know what I mean? I still felt it. Like, it wasn't as heavy, it wasn't as hard as it was like in the beginning, but I still felt it. And like I said, once again, that was a bad experience. I wouldn't recommend no one ever try that stuff. No one. Not even my worst enemy. Also, that was an experience, and it's been about a month now, a month and a half, and I still don't feel normal. I still feel like I see stuff a little bit. I see stuff a little bit, and like I don't know. I just don't feel normal, and I don't mean for the better. Like if anything, I would say that stuff did some damage to my brain or something. Like, cause man, cause then the week after I did that with over there, I almost died twice in one day. I didn't have no pulse. They couldn't find a pulse on me. It just was crazy. It's just all bad. But like I said, from me to you, keep God first. If you don't know God, get to know God, and don't try DMT. That stuff is not the business. Thank you for listening, and that's my experience. Vote no on DMT.